My name is Judge Frank Caprio, and over the years, I've watched thousands of people walk into my courtroom, nervous, hopeful, frustrated, confused, sometimes angry. But every once in a while, a case arrives that stays with me long after the courtroom empties. A case that reminds me justice is not about fines or fees, but about people, their struggles, and the unseen battles they fight every single day. This story is one of those cases. It was a warm Friday morning, sunlight shining through the stained glass windows that had been there since long before I took the bench. The courtroom was busier than usual. Parents with kids, workers in uniforms, students, elderly folks, a mosaic of the city. I was moving through the docket quickly when the clerk paused, glanced at a file, and cleared her throat. "Judge," she murmured quietly, "this next one? It's sensitive." I nodded for her to proceed. Case of Michael Turner for multiple school zone speeding tickets, failure to appear, and outstanding fines. People looked toward the back. Slowly, a tall man in his early 30s stood up. He wore an old hoodie, one sleeve slightly torn, and shoes that looked like they'd survived a decade of hard work. But he wasn't alone. At his side was a boy, maybe 9 or 10, wearing bright red shoes. The kind of shoes children save up for, circle in catalogs, or dream about. But these shoes were worn, frayed, and a bit too big for him. Still, he stood confidently next to the man, as if he were his bodyguard. They walked up together. "Good morning," I said kindly. "Good morning, Your Honor," he replied, his voice steady but clearly tense. The boy lifted his chin. "Hi, Judge." His voice had a spark, the kind of spark that stays even when life gets hard. I smiled. "And what's your name, young man?" "Eli." "Well, Eli," I said, "you look like a very good assistant today." The boy puffed out his chest a little, proud. I turned to the father. "Mr. Turner, you have 3 speeding violations in a school zone, and you missed 2 hearing dates. That's serious." "Yes, Your Honor, I know," he said, looking down. "The total fine amount stands at $1,150. Can you explain what happened?" He pressed his lips together, searching for the right words. Before he could answer, the boy gently tugged his sleeve. "Dad, it's okay. You can say it." Something inside me shifted. Children have a way of revealing truths adults are afraid to speak. "Go ahead," I said softly. "Tell me what's going on." He took a deep breath. "The tickets were from the past 2 months. I didn't mean to speed. I swear I didn't. I was rushing every morning because I just got custody of my son." I raised an eyebrow. "Recently?" He nodded. "His mom passed away in February." A quiet shock rippled across the room. Even people waiting for their own cases turned and looked at the boy with sympathy. "I'm sorry to hear that," I said gently. "Truly." The father swallowed hard. We weren't together anymore. Life had gotten complicated. Mistakes were made on both sides. But when she got sick, she asked me to take him. She wanted him to be safe. His voice cracked. "I didn't want Eli to lose both parents." The boy blinked fast, trying not to cry. "So, I started waking up at 5 every morning to get him ready for school. I'd drive across the city to drop him off. I'm still learning the schedule, still learning how to do this right." "And the speeding?" I asked. He sighed heavily. "I wasn't paying attention to the signs. Some mornings he'd forget his lunch. Other mornings he'd get sick. And I was panicking, trying to get him to school on time, trying not to mess up." He looked at me, eyes pleading for understanding. "I know speeding is dangerous. I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to figure out how to be a dad." I nodded slowly. "And the missed hearings?" He winced. I work construction during the day and stock shelves at night. I couldn't afford to miss a shift. If I miss even one, they replace me. And then I can't take care of them. I asked, Mr. Turner, are you able to pay the fines at this time? He shook his head, shame flooding his expression. I can't even pay rent next month. I'm behind on everything. The boy stepped forward suddenly. Judge, he said, my dad is trying really hard. I turned to him. I can tell. He's doing everything, the boy said. He cooks now. He burns stuff a lot, but he tries. He learned how to braid my sister's hair, except I'm the sister's friend now, he corrected himself. I mean, he's learning everything. The courtroom let out a soft, warm laugh. Dad works all night, the boy continued seriously. Sometimes I wake up and he's asleep, sitting up on the couch with his boots still on. He never stops trying. Tears welled in the father's eyes. And the red shoes, I asked gently. They look important. The boy looked down at them. These were the last shoes my mom bought me before she died. They're my lucky shoes. They remind me she's still here a little. My heart tightened. The father added quietly, he refuses to take them off, even when the soles started peeling. I tried gluing them. Didn't work. The boy lifted one foot to show me the loose sole. See? They flap now. People in the courtroom chuckled softly, then grew quiet again. The father continued, voice trembling. Every morning when I see those shoes, I feel like I have to be perfect. I have to be fast. I have to get it right. I have to be someone she'd be proud of. He wiped his eyes. But I'm failing. I'm failing everywhere. Dad, the boy whispered, tugging his sleeve again. You're not failing. The father covered his face briefly, trying to hold himself together. I looked down at the file. 3 speeding violations, 2 missed court dates, over $1,000 in fines. But the law doesn't capture the reality of grief. It doesn't capture the pressure of suddenly becoming a single parent. It doesn't capture the weight of being responsible for a child who still sleeps with a memory tied to his feet. I took a long breath, then spoke clearly. Mr. Turner, you're not a perfect father. His shoulders slumped. You're not supposed to be, I added. He looked up, surprised. You were a father who was trying, desperately, relentlessly, to build a life for your son. And trying, I said gently, counts for far more than perfection ever will. His eyes filled immediately. And as for these tickets, I'm going to do something based on compassion and common sense. He held his breath. I am going to dismiss all 3 speeding violations. A gasp moved through the courtroom. And I am officially waiving all outstanding fines. The father covered his mouth, stunned. You will owe $0. The boy tugged his sleeve. Dad, Dad! But the father couldn't speak. He could barely breathe. Mr. Turner, I said softly, your son needs you more than the city needs your money. And frankly, you need a break. You need a moment to breathe. So today, I'm giving you that. He whispered, thank you. Thank you, Judge. I don't know how to... You don't have to know, I said gently. Just keep loving your boy. That's enough. The boy stepped forward again. Judge? Yes, Eli? He kicked his red shoe lightly. Do you think my mom would be proud of my dad? I smiled. I think she already is. The boy grinned, then did something that shocked the entire courtroom. He reached down, untied one of his red shoes, and held it up. Can you keep this? He asked shyly. As a thank you? The courtroom froze. The father's eyes widened. Eli, no, buddy. Those are... It's okay, Dad said softly. I want the judge to have one so he remembers us.
My chest tightened. I leaned forward and accepted the shoe with both hands, as though it were sacred. "Thank you," I said quietly. "This means more than you know." The boy nodded proudly. As they walked out, one shoe flapping, the other foot resting in a sock, the father looked back at me with tears running freely down his face. Some cases stay with you forever. The boy with the red shoes is one of mine. Because at the end of the day, justice is not about punishing people for struggling. Justice is understanding why they struggle. Justice is compassion. Justice is humanity. And sometimes, justice is accepting a small red shoe from a child who just needed someone to see him.